In this House of Logic video, we're going to configure Grafana to send email notifications. Now, we're actually starting with an existing Grafana configuration in this case, and we've already got a network monitoring dashboard set up, which is using a Prometheus-based ping exporter to poll different devices on the network. And the reason for this is it's just actually quite simple for me to get up, unplug something, and simulate a failure very easily. So what we're going to do, first of all, is we're going to go into the Grafana configuration, and what we'll do is we're actually going to stop Grafana, and we're going to reconfigure it slightly. So what you need to do when you actually set Grafana up is you need to pass it in some environment variables if you're running within Docker, in order to give it some details of how to reach out to the internet to send email. Now we're going to be using Google's email service in order to do this today, simply because it's one of the easiest to actually work with. So what you'd need to do is to actually go to into Google, into your particular email account, into a Gmail account, and set up an app password. I'll include the link for where to do this, but you do need to make sure that you've got two-factor authentication on that email account before you use it. Quite a lot of the other services that have done this sort of SMTP based mail service details over the last few years, just using like your email address and password for authentication, I've actually stopped doing it. So Google is one of the last ones out there, it seems, that actually does this without you having to pay for an additional service. So as I said, what we want to do is we want to actually go and stop, not Prometheus, but Grafana initially. So hang on, I'll take a step back. So sudo docker ps, and that shows us what we're running. So let me expand that ever so slightly to update the formatting. And you can see there that we have got a Grafana instance. It's running on port 3000, and we're going to stop that now and actually delete the container, but we're not going to delete the storage associated with the container. So this is just to allow us to change the environment variables. So let's do sudo docker stop Grafana, and then we're going to do sudo docket. That's why that didn't work. It's just the formatting's got a little garbled here. And docker remove Grafana. Now the command that we need to use has got a bunch of environment variables in, so I'm actually just going to talk this one through very quickly when I paste it on screen. So what you want to do, and certainly where I've been using this for a while, and I've realised there's actually even a mistake in this at the moment, sorry, is that, one sec, you need to specify all of the details, let's try that again, that you're going to need for the actual outbound connection. So Grafana has these environment variables, so you need the start TLS policy SMTP to be enabled. You're going to need smtp.gmail.com, or if you're using a different email service, you'll need that. It needs to do the skip verify step. You need to use the specify password, which you've got through the actual Gmail app password setup that I mentioned. And you need to specify the user and the from address, which need, I believe, to be the same. Finally, the SMTP from name is effectively a display name, so that's almost up to you. So if I hit enter on that, sorry, excuse me, it doesn't like the E command. One moment, I'm going to pause the video and figure out what I'm doing wrong. Okay, I think I have it. I think I missed out a backslash at the end of one of the lines. Yes, I had. Okay, so that should have started up Grafana now with environment variables to specify SMTP connection. So if we go into Grafana again, hopefully, I mean, we may be forced to log back in. Let's find out. No, it hasn't forced me, and we're still here. Great. Okay, so we can now go to alerting. And within alerting, what you want to do is you want to manage contact points. So you want to create a default contact point first of all, and we're going to call this demo blog. Let's just call it demo user, and we'll go with we're going to go with our blog at houseoflogic.co.uk. Oh no, sorry, that's the email integration. I'm putting things in the wrong fields here. Blog at houseoflogic logic.co.uk. Let's check the optional email settings. Okay, I think we'll just go with that. I'm going to hit test. Hopefully that will come through. Certainly I would suggest not going beyond this step before doing anything else. So that says it's sent, which is great. I'm going to hit save. Now telling me it's unused, but that's fine. And in fact, I have had an email come through from the specified email account from catfordxrs@gmail.com. And let's see if I can download the picture. Yeah, there we go. So it's just for sent through a test alert. Okay, so we'll close that one. And what we want to do now is we want to go to alert rules. Now, depending on what you're doing, your alert rule will be potentially very different to what I'm about to do here. Yeah, don't take everything I say as completely gospel, but we're going to have a go at this, and hopefully this will work. So we will now do a new alert rule, and we're going to give it a name. So we can call it ping packets dropping. And we've got our Prometheus data source. Now, you don't have to just use Prometheus. If you have other data sources, you can use those as well. And of course, you can specify the metrics and so on that you want to use. So what we will do within here is we're going to actually go with ping loss ratio, which is just something that comes with this particular exporter. We don't need to do a label filter. But what we can do, let's just run the query, and there we go, we can see some results. If we go into the legend, we're going to again customize that, and we're going to call that target, and run the query again, and hopefully we'll see something that looks okay. So that's not actually changed anything yet. Okay, so scrolling, I'm not working off a reference bit of information here. So what we want to do, let's see how many data points have we got. Let's just check our options. So in the last 10 minutes up till now, okay, and we're not going to do any particular operations on there. One sec, I'm just going to pause the video. I need to show you something. Okay, so I've just changed the graph here to be arranged because this is what I was expecting to see against my my previous versions of this. Okay, so with that in place, if we go further down here, we are going to, I think we need to add a query as part of this. Let me just, no, actually no, I'm wrong. It's just simply we want to reduce what we're looking at. So from input A, which is this up here, we are going to take the last instance, and we're going to go with strict mode. And let's see, actually, is there a function we can use? I think we may need to, oh no, we'll go with that. There we are, mean. We're going to go with the mean, and yeah, so that should give us a single instance. And I'll go with that for now. So those averages there. So in fact, this is interesting. So this tells us now. So this is our here. I bet, yeah. Okay, so telling me it's actually the router is normal. So telling me if anything is above 0 that would fire. And I think that's a little bit too aggressive for what I want to do. So what I'm actually going to do, and we will go with, let's say, input is above 0.7. Why it says that is firing, I don't know. Okay, so those are now saying it as, I see, it's simply as normal, so it was above 0. So it was simply a actual Boolean expression of whether or not it would consider them to be firing. Okay, that's fine. So if we go down to the next step, then, as you can see, this actual setup is a little confusing. So it's now asking us where we want to put it in terms of a folder or labels. So we're going to just create a new folder, and we'll call it network, alert rules. which we'll go with, and the evaluation behavior. So we've got a new evaluation group, so you do have to set these up. And we will go with a handling, yeah, we'll make it once a minute. So every minute. She's quite aggressive for this sort of thing, but it will certainly do for what we want to do. So we now have to select a contact point, which is why we went and set one up first, and it is going to be the demo user contact point. And is there any specific notification message? I think we're going to go with target is offline. Let's try that, and hopefully that will work. We don't need any particular runbook URLs or anything like that. We're going to simply hit save and exit, and hopefully that will be saved, which it has, and we can see here. So summary target is offline. So at that moment that is saying normal. So if I actually let me create a new tab here, and we can see this in a bit more detail. So under network health, what I'm going to go and do is I'm going to go and pull the power on my printer, which quite honestly, I'd quite like to hit it with a baseball bat, like in Office Space, but the blasted thing usually falls over all the time anyway. So let's go and create failure. We should see the packet loss rise, and once it gets above 0.7, then we would expect to see an email notification get triggered. So I'll pause the video now, go and pull the power on the printer, and hopefully that will cause an alert to fire. Okay, so it's been a couple of minutes now, and the printer is offline, and as you can see now, we actually have the printer showing on the dashboard as having a packet loss ratio of 0.714. So this should trigger the alert condition. So we'll now just go and check and see what this says, and it may depend on when the alert group gets evaluated, but let's have a look. Okay, let's refresh that and see what we see. Fortunately, it does tend to collapse that periodically. Okay, so the next evaluation says it's in a few seconds. Oh, I think there might be certain grace periods as well, but we'll let this go and see what it actually does. So I'll pause the video again and refresh when this is actually fired. Okay, so a few more minutes have elapsed here, and the packet loss ratio has actually hit as high as 1, meaning 100% packets lost, of course, because this is a printer that I pulled the plug on, literally. And if we go and have a look at the alert rules now, we can actually see what's going on here. So let me just refresh this and we'll expand it out fully, because it does collapse the whole thing. So it's telling us that one of the rules is firing, and it's one of the every minute group. And we can see it's been firing now. It says for 2 minutes, and it's got this as the summary. And if we expand that down, it's actually telling us which host it is. So it is the HP 2630.LAN device, which is the printer. That's, okay, all good. So if we expand it, there we go. It's got some other information in there. But what we can see, I'm actually going to go and edit the rule because I think this is quite interesting. And I can understand now why it's actually taken a little bit longer to come through. So if we go up to here into the options, if we run the query, what we can see, of course, is that actually it needed for it to get this actual sample period here. So the options on the time range has a bearing. It's kind of a little bit tucked away, really. And so it's now minus 10 minutes to now. It's pulled all these data points and done on 1 second interval sampling time. And what it's telling us there is that it actually needed to be offline, or rather above the red line of 0.7 for 10 minutes, basically, or on average, before it was going to actually fire as an alert condition. So all of these, of course, saying, yeah, that's fine. We're coming up with all the values, and it's, there we go, 0.99394, and thus it's treating that as being a firing condition. Jump in on the edit here, and there's one thing that I failed to show on that video just now, which is that here is the email that has come through successfully. And the one mistake I have made is I was assuming that the target information would actually be correctly formatted up, but it hasn't been. So my attempt at the summary with the right details in there hasn't worked, so I'll have to go off and see what I can do about that and if I can expose the text. However, as you can see, all the labels have come through and it's actually telling us the details of what has gone offline. there's an immense amount of power in Grafana and monitoring, and I think at some point I'm going to have a look at on-call as well, which I know is capable of doing even more. And there's a whole bunch of different things you can do. But as a very basic, this is how you get set up and running using what's available out there on the internet. Then that's been the purpose of this video, and I hope it's been of use for somebody. So thanks very much for watching. Please like and subscribe if that's your kind of thing. Otherwise, we'll catch you next time. Thanks very much. Bye now.